how's your week been? What are you drinking today? What's your
Oh, yeah. I'm drinking a guava kombucha. I haven't tried
Mm,
this one before.
it's very pretty looking. I like it.
Yeah, it's a little bit sweeter than ones that I usually have. I like it a lot. I love anything guava, though. I've never had a
Yeah,
bad guava flavored thing.
I
What
think I've
about
had that
you?
one before, and it is a little sweeter. I have
Mhm.
I don't know who makes this even. It's a little pineapple coconut water.
Oh, cute.
It's
Yeah, I thought it was
delicious.
a Topo Chico from the back.
Yeah, I usually do have a sparkling water if I'm not going to have wine, but
Mhm.
I had this and I'm feeling extra dehydrated today.
Yeah.
A little coconut water always helps that situation. Oh yeah, anyways, welcome back to Ren Fair. I forgot we had to start this.
Welcome back. We're here.
Yeah, we are. Fun stuff today. I don't know, when does this one come out?
Let's see. January 30th, maybe? That's what I
I think
have.
that's too far out. Oh, is it?
Yeah, because next
I
week
don't know.
is, or this week, end of this week is, I don't know.
Is the end of this
What's
week
time?
is Jan 30. So then this one I think is like Valentine's Day. I think is this one.
My dates are off then. Okay,
I
that's me.
think. Maybe not.
What we
No,
do
yeah, it is.
today.
Yeah, 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 yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah. Yep, yep, yep,
So
yep.
this is the third.
Yeah, the
And then what we
the
do next
one that
week.
we already recorded is the 30th. This one's going to be Feb 13.
Okay.
That's what I've written down. I'm pretty sure that's what it is.
Probably is what it is.
It's Valentine's Day. And what is more romantic than possibly wanting to poison someone?
Yeah.
I don't know. You tell me.
I mean, yeah, I think poisoning somebody is often the greatest sign of maybe rejected love or
Mm.
love that you do not accept in your life and want to get rid of. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like that's pretty much the majority of scenarios. Yeah. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
so the poisonings that we're going to talk about today are very heavily reliant on marriages.
Mm-hmm.
Where would we be without it?
Yeah. We love a poison story.
So, yeah, so today I'm talking about poisoners, poisons, etc., etc. I have some specific poisoners that we're going to talk about. And this was actually Kavya's topic. So, hi, Kavya.
And if anybody else has topic ideas, submit them. They will be
Yes.
used.
Yes, that's a great plug. Please let us know because we need ideas. It's hard to think of them on our own. So first I'm going to get into a couple categories of poisons. So the first one that I'm going to talk about are plant-based poisons. So these are anything derived from herbs, roots, seeds, and flowers. And then a lot of these were also used, I want to call out medicinally in small doses, which is interesting. So the first one that I want to talk about was hemlock. And the flower or the plant that creates hemlock is called Conium maculatum. And if you ever look it up, it looks literally just like Queen Anne's lace. I would not be able to tell the difference between the two. When did you first learn about hemlock poisoning? Is there like a pivotal moment in your life that you remember?
Sure. Probably just like outdoors education
Okay.
of
Yeah.
like edible and non-edible plants and like to stay away from that, maybe.
I was wondering if yours would be the same as mine. My first memory of it is from Oregon Trail.
Oh my
When
God.
your
I love
people would
Oregon Trail, but I don't
accidentally.
remember that.
You don't remember that?
I died of dysentery like way
My
before we got to
people,
the hemlock, I guess.
my people be dying from the hemlock. Like they'll
No,
be
that's
eating
so
that
funny.
and not realizing what it is. Yeah. Although I
Mm-hmm.
don't know why. I guess that Queen Anne's lace kind of also maybe looks like wild carrots, like the
Yeah, a little
tops of
bit like
them.
the
So
actual plant
maybe
leaves.
maybe that's how um people would have eaten it
Find out.
accidentally. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
It's really just looks like a flower to me. So I don't know how people were getting that confused. But actually, if you touch it though, even if you
Yeah.
collect it thinking it's a flower, it will cause skin irritation, like kind of like a poison ivy would.
And that's why I think I knew about it in that way, because I'm
Yeah.
doing a lot of time in the woods and things like that.
Yeah. So it causes disruptions between your nerves and muscles. It's alkaloid, which pretty much all of these plant ones that we're going to talk about are, and they all are that disruptor, and that's what kills you basically. So hemlock specifically causes paralysis and respiratory failure because your muscles are not working how they're supposed to. But the scary part about it is that you will have a very clear mind while you're dying. It does not interrupt your brain function at all. So you
Good.
just know, yeah, you just know that you're about to go, unfortunately. For some reason, it was seen as a civilized execution method. And this was what is commonly thought of to have killed Socrates. He,
Oh.
drank the poison and it was supposed to be hemlock. And that's how he died. And we'll talk a little bit about that later. But I don't, it doesn't seem super civilized to me. My
Mm-mm.
personal
I
opinion, I
mean,
guess.
unless you gave them enough for it to happen quickly, but for me, it feels a little bit like torture, which I mean, most
Yeah,
execution things are. I feel like maybe the guillotine may be the most nice because your head's cut off.
right. Yeah, I think though, don't they say that when you are decapitated that you can still like you still know what's going on for at least a couple of seconds
Ugh,
after?
that just gives me
Which
chills.
that seems cruel to me.
Yeah, no, that's
That is the
probably
last thing
is
I want.
true.
Yeah.
Like they're not communicating, like both sides, I guess, yet.
Yeah, I guess maybe it's seen as civilized because it's very clean. Like there's no
Mhm,
mess, kind of like that's why women often pick
mhm.
poisonings as their weapon of choice because it doesn't leave a mess as much as other things do. Who knows? Anyways, that's how Socrates probably died. So moving on to belladonna, which is also called deadly nightshade. So the source of the plant is called Atropa belladonna, and it has purple bell-shaped flowers and purple berries. It's very pretty, actually, if you look it up.
Yeah, this is one that I more often think about when I think about poisonous plants.
And you probably think of this because of its use oftentimes in other things that like not as a poison. Specifically, Renaissance women used it cosmetically for eye drops because it dilates your pupils. And
Interesting.
apparently, in small doses, does not like through your eyeballs, doesn't kill you. So who
Mhm.
knew? But yes, like I said, a lot of these are used for other things and were used in small doses without like immediately killing you. Still wasn't great, but they didn't die from it immediately. So this is also an alkaloid. Same thing, disrupts the interactions between your nerves and your muscles. So you will have hallucinations, dilated pupils, confusion, and ultimately heart failure, which is what kills you. And then aconite is another one, also more commonly probably known as wolfsbane,
Mhm.
which I think in the apothecary book that we had talked about back in our apothecary episode, I think one of the poisons that they used in that was wolfsbane.
Mhm. I think so too.
The plant is called aconitum, an aconitum plant, which is where aconite comes from. And it's kind of like a bean-like purple flower, or I think like a cap was what it was also called online. It looked more just like almost like a butterfly winged. You can look it up. It's interesting. It looks like a delphinium, if you've ever seen that. That's
Mhm.
not poisonous, or at least it's not poisonous like this. I don't wouldn't recommend eating it either way, but it looks very similar to that, where it's like the tall stalks and the little flowers all around it in kind of a
Yeah.
cone shape. And actually, it's part of the buttercup family.
Oh,
Who knew?
cute.
Yeah, so probably maybe just don't eat buttercups either, because
Yeah.
you never know.
Just
I don't know.
keep them on the chin and then
Yeah,
kick them to the curb.
I should have started this with don't try. Don't try any of these. Don't kill anybody. It's my best advice to you. Please take it. Because I don't want to be liable for
Yeah.
that. Some
For
symptoms
entertainment
of
purposes
wolfsbane.
only.
Yes, thank you, thank you. A little disclaimer. It causes numbness, vomiting, and heart arrhythmia. Again, those muscles and nerves getting affected is what's going to kill you. This one is particularly fast acting, maybe even more
Okay.
civilized than hemlock is.
Hmm.
And then poisonous mushrooms. There's a bit of a variety, but death cap, which is Amanita phalloides, I think is how you say it correctly, which often grows in Europe near oak, beech, or chestnut trees. This one is a little bit slower to kill you. It's going to take probably 6 to 24 hours, but you have severe vomiting, diarrhea, and abdominal pain.
And
So it's
if
not
you
fun.
don't eat a deadly amount, you think about reindeers flying and elves under
Yes.
your Christmas tree, according to legend.
It's a very fine line because you can also have liver and kidney failure, so not
Spooky.
gonna recommend that one. And it was really hard to identify for a long time too, which had made it really efficient. Some people believe that this was what caused Emperor Claudius's death, but we'll again get to some of the victims of ancient poisons later on here. And then we have mineral and metal poisons, so even harder to trace because they often mimic chronic illnesses, especially if you're giving them in small incremental doses. The first one is arsenic, and the chemical symbol for arsenic is AS. It is naturally occurring in air, water, and the soil. It's a mineral. And this one binds proteins and enzymes in your body. And so that's how it ends up killing you, is disrupting that process in your body. It causes vomiting, diarrhea, dehydration, and ultimately organ failure. It's nicknamed the inheritance powder because it's odorless, colorless, and tasteless. So if it was often used in the 17th and 19th centuries to kill off relatives that you didn't really want around anymore or who were getting in the way of you and a lot of money.
Yeah, I feel they're like a lot of like older mystery books and things like that. There's always arsenic involved.
Yes, yep. I think it was used probably a lot more than people even realized. So heavily used in Europe from Roman times through the Renaissance period, and was very hard to trace. So that's why it was used so much. Mercury is another one. This chemical symbol for this is Hg. Mercury is what you have in your old-timey thermometers, that like liquid metal. And it's, fun fact, the only metal that is liquid at room temperature.
I didn't know that part.
Yeah. So same thing. It binds to proteins and enzymes, which ultimately causes tremors, insanity, memory loss. It's all around not great. It was at one time used in Chinese alchemy and in medicines and was believed to promote immortality.
Have you ever listened to S-Town?
No.
I want to say it's by the same people that do This American Life.
Okay.
It's a really, really good story about this man in Alabama. He's a little bit kooky and, not to spoil part of it, but like there is mercury involved in kind of his downfall.
Okay. This is
But
a
yeah,
book?
it's
Or
a
this is a show?
podcast. It's like a real story.
S-Town? Okay.
And I think, Mercury shows up a lot. Like some people say like the Mad Hatter got his madness from coming in contact with Mercury, I
yeah.
think from his job.
Because it
I
was very common,
forget.
I think, in hat making.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I kind of love this one because it is like a slow, dark decline into madness. Like if it goes unnoticed and in small amounts incrementally. So this one's kind of fun.
What's your favorite poison, maybe?
Maybe. Yeah, maybe
you
my
had to
favorite
pick one?
metallic poison.
There you go. And then we're going to get to lead, and the chemical symbol for that is Pb. It was often found for a long time and still can be found in pipes, cookware, wine sweeteners, which I did not know that was ever a thing. But yeah, apparently it is. And paint. I think that's probably where most people recognize it from. And I'm going to take a little bit of a tangent here because this is an interesting tangent for us to go on. So here we go. So it occurs naturally in the earth. Let me say that first. But it was used in paint until, do you know what year?
Like recently, right? Probably like the 80s.
78. Almost
Okay.
just about 78. It was used because it made just better paint. It lasted longer. The colors were better. It just made everything really about it so much better. The US knew about the toxicity of lead, and would you like to guess what year we knew about it?
A lot, like 1930 or something.
4. So yeah, for 70 years we kept using it. And this was because the Lead Industries Association and the people, and I should say like careers that made up that association, lobbied against banning lead and spread a lot of disinformation about how dangerous it was. And so for 70 years, we continued to use it, even though other countries had started banning it, I believe, in the 20s, very early on. So this can cause, in low levels, which is often how it was, like it affected children through paint in households with You could have fatigue, headaches, and memory issues, and often affected your ability to like process information. And you would have potentially learning disabilities later on in life because of it. And then at high levels, again, it's a binder just like the other metals are, and causes infertility, madness, and ultimately organ damage, which is how it can kill you.
Yeah, I remember like always hearing that term of did you eat too many paint chips as a kid or things like that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's wild to think about. And I mean, even today, working in home improvement industry, we
Mhm.
have to, you have to ask when the house was built because you have to make sure that you don't come in contact with any lead-based paint. It's not actually, as far as I could tell, I'm not saying go and touch a bunch of like lead, but it's not dangerous. You won't absorb it through your skin as much as it
Mhm.
is if you're ingesting it. That's the dangerous part.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. So if you're removing lead paint, like don't breathe it in, don't ingest it, but it's not
Yeah.
gonna at least hurt you if it touches your skin.
And, by the way, there are plenty of chemicals that do terrible things to your body that are still legal that the United States government knows about and allows you to continue manufacturing with them. But
Yeah.
it's another rant for another day.
I was gonna say that's an episode for another time.
Mhm.
And then there's some animal-based poisons as well that are less common because they're harder to get. But vipers and cobras, so snake
Right.
venoms, would be one that you would consider a poison. It leads to paralysis, bleeding, and shock. Cleopatra was thought to have died by a snake bite, an asp bite specifically. We don't really know if that's true.
Hmm.
It's kind of a myth, but that is the myth at least. And then toad and frog toxins as well, commonly used more in South American cultures, can cause heart failure. And these as well were used not only as poison, but also in rituals. So let's get on to some famous poisoners and some of their victims. So, first famous poisoner that I'm going to go over is Giulia Tofana, 17th century Italy. That's where we're starting. She was probably born in Palermo, and the thought is that she may have taken her mother's first name as her last name, so Tofana. This is apparently common at the time in Italy for
Mhm.
people to do, for women to do. And so it's speculated, and pure speculation nonetheless, that she may be the daughter of Tafania Diamo, who was a famous poisoner convicted of arsenic poisoning and executed in 1933. Excuse me, not 1933, 1633. We're in the 17th century.
Also a time traveler.
Yep, yep, yep. No, wrong date. The idea of her being Tofana Adamo's daughter, though, wasn't invented or speculated until the 1800s. 1880 specifically was when first publication came out speculating this. So this could be entirely false. We just don't know. To be honest, we really don't know much about Julia herself at all. We don't even really know how she died. Some people think that she died peacefully in her sleep. Some people think that she was poisoned. Some people think that she was arrested and executed, but we really have no idea. There's no record of what actually happened to
Do we
her.
know that she's real?
Not really, no. So there is a woman, there was a real person called Giulia Mangiardi. Popularly, her nickname was Tofana, who did exist. And we attribute the creation of Aqua Tofana, which is the
Right.
poison creation, to her.
Okay.
We don't really actually know. We know this person existed, but we really don't know much else about her. She was attributed to running a poison ring, which included 6 other women, including Girolama Spara in the 1650s. And Girolama was caught in 1659, and she claimed to be Julia's daughter.
Mm.
So possible, but we do know that she was caught and convicted and supposedly was a part of this ring that Julia was running.
Got it.
And this woman, Giulia Mangiardi, likely, like we said, likely born in Palermo, and then married well and moved to Rome with her second husband, Cesare Ranchetti, around 1624. So at this time, if she is Tofana Adamo's daughter, she wasn't executed until 1633, so her mother would have been alive, possibly still. And like I said, we don't really know what happened to her. We don't know if she was a part of this ring really. We don't know how she died. We know that she died before this trial came about. We speculate 1651 was when we think she died. But supposedly she is the creator of a colorless, tasteless poison called aqua tofana, like we said, which is a blend of arsenic, lead, and belladonna. But the exact
Ooh,
recipe for it is no longer known.
triple whammy, guys.
I know. So it kind of makes sense that maybe even if she wasn't Tefania's Adamo's daughter, or Diadamo, excuse me, we know that Diadamo was using a blend of arsenic. So could be that she took that recipe and kind of ran with it and made it her own. We don't know for sure, but that was the gist of what was in it that made it so poisonous. And it was marketed as like a cosmetic water, I guess,
Like a
a toner.
tonic or a perfume or
Yeah,
something, yeah.
or holy water, and she would give it to women to get rid of their abusive husbands, since it was such a patriarchal society at the time. Women didn't really have any other options if they were in dangerous situations, and so this is how she helped them get out of that situation.
A true
And
hero.
her estimated death toll is probably around 600, we think. It's a lot of
Sick.
people.
Yeah,
Makes her one of
it's
the probably
crazy.
the most prolific serial killers, although she did have a
So
ring of people
true.
helping her
Yeah,
if she was the cause of all of this. But
right. Like
it's
the
a pretty good
mob
number.
boss of poisoners.
Yes. Yeah, she was a queen pin for sure.
Yeah, love it.
So she's seen as for what she was, if this was her ring that she was running, a murderer, but also a pro feminist sort of figure as well, and being the person who would help women who needed it.
Yeah, and I guess, like,
Yeah.
the reason that men didn't try to get it was just because she labeled it as more, like, cosmetic.
Yeah, she was appealing to women, and also probably it wasn't as like, they just didn't know about it. It was all word
Right,
of
it's
mouth,
more
she's not
underground.
advertising it. Yeah. So men wouldn't be involved. And I believe the one who was caught and convicted in I think what had happened, and I should have done a little more research on this one and dug into it more, but I think what had happened was they were just noticing that all of these men were dying all of a sudden, and so someone was like, we should figure out what's going
What's
on
going
with
on?
that, and kind of connected the dots and realized that they were being poisoned and found their operation out. But her building that she worked out of, or is thought to have worked out of, it still exists in Italy, and you can go visit it if you'd like to. I believe it's a gelato shop now.
Fun. Careful,
Yeah,
guys. Don't order
yeah.
the belladonna gelato.
No, although I don't think it's themed like that, but that would be,
Yeah, that would be
maybe I'm
so
just a
fun.
really morbid American that I think that that would be
Yeah.
fun.
I
And they're
mean,
a little more classy over there, but
right. I don't know. Also, you wouldn't wanna make it a tourist trap maybe. I don't know,
yeah.
but I would love
But you
to
can
be
visit
a
if you want
tourist.
to. Yeah.
Yeah.
I know, I would love to go too. So the other famous poisoners I'm just going to touch on briefly, and we're keeping it all for the ladies today. So we're talking to all women poisoners, which statistically speaking, there are more of us than there are men,
Mhm.
but there are men who poisoned as well. The next one that I want to talk about is Agrippina the Younger from 15 to 59 CE. So Agrippina the Younger was a powerful Roman empress who allegedly used poison to secure her son Nero. I'm sure everybody knows that name. His throne, essentially. So she was thought to have she was thought to have poisoned her husband. That's the claim. Emperor Claudius, possibly with toxic mushrooms, after manipulating court physicians to ensure his death. So they administered the poison to him. We think that this might be exaggerated by
Mhm.
men, but we don't know. And her story really reflects a lot of fear about women and the kind of power that they have.
Right.
And I think it's painted in a more exaggerated fashion because of the fear of like a woman being able to do something like that, you know?
Yeah. But would she be able to convince medical people who are probably men? I don't know.
Maybe. I don't know. I don't know either, but that was the speculation. Although Nero was no angel himself, so maybe Claudius wasn't even poisoned, but also if he was, I could see Nero probably doing it himself as
Right.
well, or them working together or something. Who really knows? I think that's lost to history, but she is one of the famous poisoners that we might think of in history. The next one that I wanted to touch on was Mary Ann Cotton. I know you're not a big true crime person, but have you ever heard of her before?
It sounds familiar.
Okay. You probably have heard of her in passing. She
Mhm.
lived from 1832 to 1873, so pretty early on in the 1800s. She was a British serial killer who poisoned at least 21 people, including multiple husbands, romantic lovers, children, just really anyone she could get her hands on, essentially. And she used primarily arsenic. And she did all this to collect their life insurance payments after death.
Oh my gosh. Okay, not for this one, especially the children.
Yeah, it's really sad
It's a
too
bit
because she
much,
would marry
guys.
men, she would marry guys and then kill them and then kill off all their children and then move on to the next guy. And she
Also,
just
I
kept
didn't
doing that.
know that life insurance existed in the 80s.
Yes, yeah, it
Crazy.
existed. And not only that, you could get it on children.
Yeah, that's wild.
Yeah. So that's what she just kept
It's a
doing.
terrible
And then
incentive.
she'd move to another city. And because it's the 1800s of it all,
Right.
nobody
Records
really
aren't.
figured out what was going on for a long time. And
She should be
I don't remember
studied.
how I know. I don't remember how her story ended, but I think eventually she just got a little too sloppy and she started killing too many people in one city and then people caught on. So
Wild.
maybe I'll do her story for a spooky episode.
Mhm.
So yeah, we didn't have any way to detect arsenic back then. So people just thought she was really unlucky and that her poor family members just kept dying. And like this poor lady I think one of the thought of like ailments, like obviously arsenic, like we talked about, causes a lot of stomach issues. So they thought that they had like dysentery or, different
Mhm.
stomach issues and just sort of attributed that to their
Complications.
children's deaths constantly. Yeah.
Yeah.
So her crimes promoted a greater inspiration for people to figure out how to detect arsenic poisoning. It was really
Mhm.
significant. And so it contributed, she did not contribute, but the tragedy of the situation contributed to the advancement of forensic toxicology pretty significantly. And then the last one that I want to touch on is much more modern, even Nanny Doss. She lived from 1905 to 1965. She was known as Giggling Granny because she poisoned multiple family members, including four of her husbands, using, again, arsenic laced foods and drinks. But unlike Cotton, her motive was not only financial, but also just emotional control. And if she would get dissatisfied in her marriage or if she didn't like something that her husband or other family members were doing, she would kill them off and obviously was very troubled.
That's
And
one way to solve it, I guess.
yeah, yeah, the reason that she's called Giggling Granny, she was elderly when she was caught, but also because she had a really cheerful demeanor during her confessions that really unsettled people. Like she just was like giggly and thought it was all like a funny joke during her trial. And so people were very
That's funny.
disturbed by that,
She had to
understandably.
be a little crazy, right? Like, there had to be something wrong.
Yeah, I think there was and I don't want to misspeak, but if I'm remembering her story correctly, I'm pretty sure she was orphaned or like abandoned at an
Mm,
orphanage, and then she was or not adopted. She was working for a family, and they treated her like a daughter. But I think something just psychologically, and not that something that if that happened to you, you're going to become a serial killer. But I think she just had a lot
yeah.
psychologically and maybe some trauma that lended to this whole situation. I know. Who knew? So, like I had talked about a little bit before, poison was really hard to identify a lot of times because it looks like a lot of other things. So if you don't know how to detect it chemically, it often was attributed to cholera, food poisoning, stroke, tuberculosis. So we just really did not have the toxicology to be able to tell when somebody was poisoned. So it was really easy to get away with it at the time.
Bring back
By
poisoning.
No, we do not endorse
Bring
that.
back poisoning for good.
Well, we can't because now in the 18th and 19th century, we developed forensic toxicology. Yay! Yay,
Yay.
science. Sorry if you just heard my dog snort. She's very excited about it. So in 1836, the Marsh test was developed for arsenic, which again, this is the time right when our Marion Cotton was kind of at large. So this was what developed the push. Not that singularly, but it really inspired people to want to work on it a lot more. So this was the first time when this Marsh test was developed that people could detect poison and prove it for sure with science, even after the person had died. So the way that the Marsh test is conducted is that you take sulfuric acid and zinc and you mix it all up with somebody's body parts. Like I think they would typically use like a liver or something along those lines because the liver's filtering out toxins. And you slurry it up into a little mix, and then if there's arsenic in it, it creates arsine gas, which then when you heat that mixture produces a black mirrored residue. So that way you can actually tell if there's any arsenic in it. If there's not, you won't get that result. So that was huge in being able to actually prove when somebody was poisoned. And since arsenic was so popular and really, really readily available in a lot of situations and often used, this was a huge step in toxicology and in criminology. So women were often, look, if we're looking at the cultural aspect of this, women were often accused more frequently because they had more commonly access to food preparation and they were more often the medicinal healers and used herbs. And so people had this misogynistic fear of this secret power, even if you were a healer who was not harming people. I mean, we talk about the Salem witch trials, and these medicine women were accused of being able to put spells and curses on people because they knew how to use plants to make people feel better, you know? So it was a very common sort of stereotype for women to be seen as having this power over people, and they had this fear of them being poisoned by women. It often became linked to witchcraft, and then maybe on a more positive note, domestic rebellion against abusers and people who looked to harm women who didn't have any autonomy of their own.
Yeah. And I feel like there are plenty of other things, especially plants, that do have that fine line of something helping you and
Yeah.
then something hurting you. As with anything, overload of
Right.
any kind of chemical to the system can be that way.
Mhm. Yep, exactly, which is kind of, I mean, we kind of touched on it with some of these. Like some of them were used commonly for other things, but just also happened to kill you if you took too much of them.
Well, like the modern version of that could be if your husband has a really bad anaphylaxis allergy and you just accidentally ate something that they're allergic to and then give them a little smooch. I just watched a show that has that in it.
Okay. I was like,
You're like,
do
where
we
is this
have
coming from,
ideas?
Kelly?
Like,
What do you have planned?
Do I need to warn for us? I don't know.
Don't worry, he doesn't have any allergies like that.
Oh, okay. All right. Be safe for now, I guess.
Yeah.
I just gave you all the keys to worse things. So.
Yeah. But yeah, guys, you'll get
nothing
caught.
You couldn't have found.
I guess don't do it.
It's nothing you couldn't have found on Google. So
that's
my
fair.
claim to innocence. But that's all I have for us today.
Cool. Well, that was fun.
Thanks.
I love to hear about women standing up for themselves. Certainly not legal, but it's a fun story.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really interesting how often people, or women specifically, felt like they had to resort to poison because you really had no other option. We're talking, everybody wants to complain about the divorce rate. You could be dead.
Yeah, one or the other. Well, let's switch gears.
I'm ready. Tell me things.
And by switching gears, I mean only slightly switching gears because we are still talking about Appalachia. I promise this is the last episode for now that we will be talking about Appalachia. If you haven't heard our other podcasts on this topic, the 2 previous episodes we have the history of Appalachia and then arts and culture in Appalachia. But this one's the fun one. We're going to get into some superstitions and just folklore stories that come out of this region. So it's going to be really fun. We'll touch on some of those kind of sayings, what's bad luck, what's good luck, all that kind of stuff, as well as just some stories of these creatures or hauntings that happen in this area.
Also, I looked at the calendar and you're definitely right. This comes out on the 30th. So
okay,
sorry.
Good. Thank God, because my timing for my next episode was going to be off.
My bad, guys. I looked at the calendar wrong.
Phew. Okay. So coming up on the 30th. Or I guess, no, this is coming up on the 30th, so they'll already be listening to it. Anyway, so folklore in the region, if you remember in the history, we talked about kind of the diverse cultures that merged in this region. So we have the Scottish, English, Irish, German, African, and Native American traditions all kind of blending in this area. And so, if you recall, many of them already had kind of strong storytelling cultures. For example, the Celts, they never wrote down anything about their history, they only told it as oral storytelling because they were really afraid that anybody would kind of steal their information or use things against them. And we also know
Mm.
that all of the different Native American tribes were also heavily steeped in mythology and storytelling and just passing down historic knowledge from generation to generation. Sense that there's a really strong storytelling culture in this region. And so the storytelling around this area is very much on these kind of legends and superstitions, often centering around kind of strange and supernatural things, which is often just kind of enhanced by their surroundings. You know, they're really isolated. So their perception is going to be their perception. They're surrounded by forests and hills and all kinds of creatures that live within them. And so it really kind of lends itself to some more mysterious stories coming about.
Which are my favorite to hear. Very
Yeah.
excited for this one.
So we're going to start with supernatural beings and occurrences first, and a couple of kind of standard stories that you probably may have already heard of, but they're often centered around these creatures called cryptids. And so these are essentially creatures that are kind of unverified on their existence. That often have this kind of folklore legend around them. So, if you think about the Loch Ness Monster in Scotland, Bigfoot, the Chupacabra, sometimes they'll have like kind of humanoid tendencies to them, and a couple of them in here do. And then some of them are just like totally creatures that have sightings, but no scientific evidence, like bones and things of these creatures have not been found.
Yeah, I never really think of like the Loch Ness monster, for example, as a cryptid, but you're right, like it definitely is. I think it's
Hmm.
just like I don't think it's real, but you know what I mean? Like I almost think of it as
Really, it's a
more real
dinosaur. It's a
than like a
plesiosaurus, actually.
yeah, yeah, than like a cryptid, you know.
Yeah.
I guess I think of them as like a little more obscure, but yeah, definitely both
Hmm.
cryptids.
And I wonder if because Nessie is such a long, old one, and it is so much more global, where I feel like some of these are a lot more regional. Like
Yeah,
the
definitely there's
chupacabra
some
is
that are
in this
super
area.
right, or even some cryptids that are really, really niche to like one city, you know. They're
Hmm.
very regional.
Yeah. So our first cryptid hails from West Virginia. It is the Mothman, and if you drive down any highway in West
Yeah.
Virginia, you're going to see signs for it. There's a museum dedicated to the Mothman and other cryptids in West
Did you know
Virginia.
there's also a festival? Mothman Festival? Yeah.
I actually have a friend that like helps run that, I think.
Oh my gosh, can
Yeah,
we
at
go?
work.
We should go
That would
one
be super
year.
fun.
That'd
Yeah.
be so fun. Fun game.
The human like watching would be great. And the monster
Oh
watching, I
yeah,
guess.
would be great.
So in 1966, outside of Point Pleasant, there was a couple kind of hanging out nearby this abandoned World War II factory. And they reported seeing a large man like flying creature with red glowing eyes. The creature is described to be about 7 feet tall with a 10-foot wingspan, owl like glowing red eyes, and no discernible human face. I think probably the eyes are just like so big, it overpowers any ability to see like what the head actually looks like.
Right, it's like a moth. Like they don't have like
Yeah,
a traditional face. They just
right.
have giant
Eyes
eyes.
and an antenna. Yeah.
Exactly.
So the creature was dubbed the Mothman by newspapers in the area, and there were at least 8 more sightings over the next year. But there was one incident in December of 1967 when the Silver Bridge collapsed, and some people said that they had seen the Mothman kind of around this area at the time. And so they kind of labeled him as this kind of harbinger of doom, of like this sign that something
Mhm.
bad is going to happen.
Yeah.
There was even a sandhill crane in the area that they would often misattribute to it. Because if you think about that, they usually have the red lights on top of it and things like
Oh,
that.
right, right.
But for some reason, the sightings kind of ceased after that major incident, but the legend still stands strong. And people really, in West Virginia especially, really love to talk about Mothman. It's like their claim to fame.
I know there's like some speculation about what it might actually be, and I don't think that this is it, but it reminds me of it. Have you seen those flying foxes, like the giant flying
Mm,
foxes?
no, that's scary. I've seen flying
Primarily,
squirrels.
I think they're primarily in the Philippines, maybe. I think they're
Okay.
yeah, native to the Philippines. But I don't know if you can see this, but like
Ew,
they're like giant, like they look like humans,
that looks like a bat.
like human-sized bats. Yeah.
Yeah, I
Isn't
don't
that
like
wild?
that.
That's what it reminds me of,
Yeah.
except for a moth.
So they migrated to West Virginia from the Philippines.
And kind of became more hairy. Maybe that's what it is. Maybe they got hairier up north. You had to put on a
Yeah,
little
they
more fur
were
to keep
insulated
warm,
in those mountains,
and
they
that's
get
what it
snowy.
is. Yeah,
Solved. Problem solved, guys. Sorry to ruin your
done.
Mothman theory, but Jamie's found it.
Clearly.
Um, our next cryptid hails from the Appalachian region and is a part of Cherokee folklore. But I will
Oh, I
note that
think I know this one.
because there are part of Cherokee folklore, obviously this isn't the only area that this is talked about. So
Right.
there are similar legends to the Wampus Cat in other areas. So in Missouri, they call it a gallywampus. In Arkansas, they call it the whistling wampus. But it's said to be this feline like creature with glowing yellow eyes and 6 legs that is
Hmm.
said to roam the Appalachian region in this particular
Okay.
case of it.
Yeah. I actually don't know this one. I've never heard of this.
Okay, cool. I think it's more in like the North Carolina area that they talk
Okay.
about this. But so, we think that the name could have evolved from different terms for the eastern cougar, which is the catamount, and later
Mm,
becoming catawampus, a strange word for the animal, and then, eventually setting on wampus cat. So, most common legends describe her as a woman who had disguised herself in a cougar skin to spy on sacred hunting rituals and was cursed by the shamans to become this like human cougar hybrid and like forced to kind of roam the area for all eternity as her punishment. However, that is not the Cherokee legend that comes with it. It's kind of oversimplified, although there are some pieces of that that are kind of true. So, one version of the Cherokee folklore describes a village where an evil spirit called the Iwa was terrorizing the village and kind of driving warriors mad with a single glance, they say. And so there was this one warrior named Standing Bear. He came home one day from a hunt and was clearly mad. And so his wife, Running Deer, obviously wanted to be part of capturing and taking care of this monster who had turned her husband insane. So she goes to the shamans and kind of expresses that she wants to help take them down. And they give her what they call a booger mask. So, boogers is one name that they used for like evil spirits. Another term that you'll hear in this area is called haints. So haunts, if you think about that word.
okay, yeah.
So they gave her this mask that was shaped like a bobcat, and she went to confront this demon, and kind of went to a mountain stream. And because it was like based on the monster's like vision to kind of drive you mad, she kind of used the mountain stream reflection and her mask to kind of send that power back to the demon and kind
Right.
of
It's like
vanquish it.
the Nagani in Harry Potter. Like you just can't look it in the eyes.
Yeah, or Medusa, like and
Oh
what is
yeah,
it,
yeah. It's
Perseus?
a great another great example, yeah.
So after her triumph, the shamans and leaders kind of declared her this kind of spirit talker and home protector. And so some tellings say that her spirit lives on as this wampus cat, kind of always watching over the land and trying to protect the people in that area. So
Oh, that's
kind
like
of
a
completely
nice
different
yeah,
from what
a
the
nice
first version of the
cryptid.
story is. Yeah.
Pretty much like the only nice cryptid. There's not really many that have a great reputation. I suppose
Mhm.
Nessie, but
Yeah.
that's
Yeah,
about it.
Nessie's just like chilling, I guess, but
Nessie's just a
although,
vibe.
I mean, Bigfoot seems to just mind his own business.
That's true. Yeah, Bigfoot, I guess, they're just kind of neutral, you know?
Mhm.
They're just like maybe neutral good or yeah, something like that. They're not like a chaotic or an evil.
Yeah. Okay, switching gears away from cryptids for a minute, we have the Bell Witch, which I know you know about this one, right?
It sounds familiar, yeah.
Okay. So we're in Tennessee now. So there is a story about this family, the Bell family. They moved to Robertson County, Tennessee, around 1800s and settled in a log home near the Red River. So they lived there for about 10 years until this kind of unexplained phenomena started happening. They would hear knocking sounds and scratching. Objects would move, and there was even a little bit of like physical harassment. Like they would kind of
Mm.
feel their hair being pulled, or, you get hit by something, or things like that.
Yeah, it's like a trickster spirit.
Very much a poltergeist. And so this spirit specifically targeted the father, John Bell, and he was obviously very spooked about it, but he really tried to keep the events as private as possible until one of their friends, James Johnston, stayed overnight and experienced the activity himself. So it wasn't just the people living in the house that were experiencing this, it was definitely something that could be perceived by kind of anybody.
Right.
At one point, the entity begins to speak and claims that she is the spirit of a witch named Kate Batts. So she eventually became known as the Bell Witch and kind of sang hymns and kind of shared this like eerie knowledge of church sermons and things like that. So a very spooky lady.
Yeah. It's always weird to
Um,
me when the ghosts are especially religious.
yeah, especially
Like,
like she's a witch
what's going
too.
on there? What's going
So
on?
we're a little bit confused about that.
Mhm.
But I think with anything like spiritual is spiritual.
Who knows?
So this haunting drew widespread attention. Obviously, people in this day and age really kind of like loved ghost stories and things like that. So it even prompted a visit from Andrew Jackson while he was a general, who reportedly fled after the first night of torment. Which,
Interesting.
as far as what I know about Andrew Jackson, don't I believe that's true? Not my favorite figure in history.
Wasn't the bravest
Yeah.
of presidents.
So eventually, John Bell mysteriously dies in 1820, and the entity claimed responsibility for it for allegedly poisoning him. Haha, how relevant.
Hmm.
And she would reappear intermittently throughout the 1920s to kind of influence the Bell family members that remained. Her final departure came in 1828, but upon that departure, she claimed that she would return in 1935. However, since then, there have been no specific accounts of any hauntings in that area.
It's so funny when a witch just like or like a spirit just pieces out, you know? They're
She's
like,
like, I'm done
"I've
here.
had enough of
I just
this.
really didn't like that John Bell guy. I'll leave along until
I'll
somebody
be
else gives me
back,
bad
but,
vibes.
you know, I'm
Yeah.
gonna give you guys a little bit of a break."
Yeah. I mean, that's like what, 100 years? So I guess she was just, I don't know. I'd love to talk to her about it and see what her reasoning is.
Yeah, you know, it's not like she died
Yeah,
and couldn't come
exactly.
back.
She
Maybe
just
she just
like
found something more
went
fun to do.
elsewhere.
She was just like,
Another
I mean, it's the
house,
30s.
maybe.
This is like more entertaining now, you know?
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, it's my theory.
Um, so next we have some people called the Moon-Eyed people, and this is another Cherokee legend. And so they're often described as a kind of more distinct race of human that were very much unlike the
Mm,
Cherokee people at the time. They were
okay.
said to be very small and bearded with very pale skin and very large blue eyes. So large and blue that the legend said that their eyes were too sensitive for the daylight, which means that they would live, hunt, and work exclusively at night, and they lived in like the caves during the day.
Okay, at first I just like am picturing Native American peoples never having seen someone who's like Irish before, you know?
Right.
They're
It's just
like
white people.
they're like so pale and their eyes are huge or something, you know?
Yeah. Well, some
Probably
people
not
do
that, but
think, yeah, some people do think that they think it was like Welsh people who'd maybe come to settle here, like
right,
before
they're
like
just like short, like
Colombian
it's
settlers
normal.
came. Yeah. It's just
That's
short.
so
Yeah.
funny.
It's literally just Welsh people.
Okay. Sorry,
Um,
people from Wales.
but they kind of had accounts of these people in the region as early as 1100 AD. So like
Wow,
really early on
interesting.
before they even like met
Yeah,
any of like the Spanish settlers that came up from Florida.
right,
Which, as we know, like we don't know everything about Northern American history
right.
because it was so long ago that people traveled here during the Ice Age that,
Yeah.
there certainly could have been either people who um like developed that way because they were already living in the caves.
Yeah. Probably not cages, but who knows?
Yeah, like evolution, I mean, that could have been a reason for it.
Right. Yeah. I guess the living in darkness all the time is maybe not so typical of Welsh people.
Yeah,
But yeah, interesting. My second thought, and what I'm sure a lot of people also run with, is like aliens, you know?
totally. Yeah. Which
Sounds like very
honestly,
tiny
there is
people
an
with large
alien
eyes.
race that are like described as like very short humanoids.
Yeah.
So you
Yeah.
never know.
Could be. Or maybe they're just Welsh.
Yeah. But one thing about these creatures is that they have reportedly built these kind of stone walls and fortifications throughout like this crest of mountains in kind of northern Georgia, southern North Carolina, to kind of protect themselves against the Creek Nation at that time. And then they later had retreated into those cave systems. And so you can still find those
Mm,
stone walls kind of scattered about in the mountains in certain areas.
interesting.
But apparently they were kind of defeated in battle and kind of retreated to those caves. They lost the battle because it was a full moon and it was too bright for them to really see.
It's like their kryptonite.
Yeah. So
Fun.
some people do think that they could have been Welsh settlers. Others claim that maybe they were albinos, but there's no real way to say.
Okay, I have another theory. What if what if maybe they didn't actually just operate at night? Maybe they were just like, "We're really pale. We're not gonna work in the hottest part of the day because we're gonna get sunburned."
Mm,
So Native Americans not being darker skinned and not having to worry about that
they
are
just
like, they
don't get
only
it.
operate in the dark.
Yeah,
That could be legitimate. I could see
that
that.
could be.
It's like any good ginger knows you're not
Yeah.
gonna be out in the middle of the day.
I will say as a blue-eyed person though, I am very sensitive to light as well as, like,
Yeah.
I can't get in the salt water to save my life, like, I
Mm,
my eyes burn so bad in the salt water, so blue eyes
interesting, yeah.
are extra sensitive, to be fair.
That is true. Yeah, that could also lend to it.
Yeah, but another legend we'll never know. The last story I will talk about is, the brown mountain lights. No creatures
Okay.
here. We're not really sure what this is. So there are some mysterious ghost lights that show up over Brown Mountain in North Carolina. They've been reported for over 200 years consistently. And the first written account of that was recorded in 1771 by a German engineer named John William Gerard de Brom. So witnesses describe this kind of silent, glowing orbs that drift and dance. Sometimes they kind of burst or move, just kind of these
Hmm.
orbs that like they can't really explain what it could be. In 1922, the US Ecological Society attributed the lights to car headlights or train lights, but that was obviously challenged when kind of those train tracks and roads were destroyed during floodings and they were still seeing those lights.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah.
According to Native American folklore, the lights are spirits of Cherokee women searching the mountains with torches for their loved ones lost in a historic battle.
Aw.
Yeah, I like that one a lot more.
Yeah. Nice.
But Forest Service officers and scientists from the Appalachian State University have tried to observe these lights in recent years, and their current explanation includes kind of these natural gas emissions or rare atmospheric phenomena such as ball
Uh,
lightning to be causing this,
yeah,
which is
I could
probably
see
the
that.
more likely explanation of
Right,
things
right. I
there.
mean, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. But these lights still appear regularly, most often at night between September and November, and remain totally unexplained.
The fact that they're specific to certain periods of time too is also
Mhm.
very interesting.
Yeah, it is. And, you think about that time, the leaves are changing. So I imagine there are some gaseous things that are happening
Right,
during
yeah,
that
it could be.
time. I don't
Yeah.
know. We need to pull like Forrest in here for his expertise. Um, okay. So those are kind of some of the stories that you hear out and about in the area. There are probably many, many more. I wish that I could have like spoken to some families that had their own kind of
Yeah,
lore,
that'd be cool.
but those are kind of the most common ones that like if you search something like that, those are the ones that you'll hear.
I wasn't sure if you were gonna touch on the blank walkers or not. That was
The
too
blank walkers.
Oh, yeah. I don't wanna say it
Skinwalkers?
because people yeah, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Well, there is something.
Because people are very suspicious about, like, saying the words. I didn't know.
Oh, okay. Well, skinwalkers are not part of, like, the Cherokee Nation. Those are the, like, more Navajo, I think, like, further out
It's
west.
pretty
But there's another
okay, I thought it
name for
was pretty
them.
Appalachian kind of culture too.
'Cause I looked it up, but there's just another name for it, and I don't remember what that name is
Okay,
right
okay,
now.
gotcha.
It's
Yeah.
not the Wendigo, is it? No, that's a
I don't
separate kind
know.
of monster.
Yeah.
Anyway. Yeah, there's lots more.
Yeah.
Now I wanna remember what it was, though.
I'm sure if I heard it, I would remember, but I don't remember offhand.
Yeah. Okay, but it's Navajo, so I got that part right.
Okay, yeah.
But yeah, there's shapeshifters, like all kinds of stuff. There's one called the Greenbrier Ghost. I did hold some back because I do maybe want to revisit some of them towards
Right, right, and
Halloween.
I mean, there's so many. You could
Yeah,
spend forever on them, I'm sure.
yeah. And going back to the moon-eyed people, we had kind of talked about, me potentially talking about the Melungeon community
Yeah,
there.
yeah, yeah.
I
Right.
didn't want to put it in this episode because it's real people, and a
Right.
real culture,
Oh,
and
yeah, absolutely.
because it deals with race and there is some conflicting origins about it, I wanted to
Mm.
take the time to, like, tell the story correctly, so I think
Right,
that would
right,
be
yeah.
another story for another day, but
Yeah.
for those of you that are listening, the Melungeons are kind of a result of the mixing pot that is Appalachia. And essentially was they would call it like a triracial group that kind of was a mixture of all of the types of folk that lived in that area. And so they had very distinct characteristics. But again, we'll kind of get into that another day because it's a really cool part of history that I think people around here don't even know about. Like I had mentioned it
Mm.
to Forrest and he didn't even know what that was.
Yeah, for sure, that would be a cool topic for another time.
But before we wrap things up, we'll get into some superstitions because this is
Ooh.
really kind of the fun stuff of these fun superstitions and sayings. And a lot of them
Fun.
are familiar. And I think some of them we know just because they've been around forever. They've kind of transversed culture. And then some of them like are very much specific to Appalachia. One thing that's big is safety around woods in Appalachia. So as we know, there, is very rural areas with really dense forest and mountainous landscapes and things like that. And so you kind of like don't know what's lurking in the woods. Maybe it's the moon-eyed people, maybe it's the wampus. It could be all kinds of things. And so there's always
Could
the
just be a regular
saying,
bobcat.
it could just be a crazy man trying to murder you,
Yeah.
which often happens on the Appalachian Trail. So, I mean, take this
Yeah,
with
men are
more than
dangerous.
one grain of salt. So, there's this concept of like, don't whistle at night, don't whistle in the woods. You don't want whatever creatures are out there to know you're there.
Okay.
If you hear whistling in the woods, or if you hear somebody crying, or you hear your name called, no, you didn't. You just keep walking and minding your own business. You do not answer to that.
See, that's what I always associate with skinwalkers or whatever their
Mm-hmm.
maybe other name is in that area. So that's I always connect those two, and maybe
Mm-hmm.
I'm wrong about that, but I always think of that.
No, I'm sure it is. Even they say don't even look into the trees when you're walking at night.
Mm.
And if you get
Just
this
like head
feeling that
down,
you're
straight ahead.
yeah, and if you get this feeling that you're alone and unwelcome, don't run. Just like if you see a bear, do
Mm.
not run. Just mind
Yeah.
your own business, pretend you didn't notice anything, and get the fuck out
I feel like that's probably very good,
in
like,
general.
applicable animal advice, you
Yeah,
know what I mean? Like, you don't wanna run because then that makes them that gives them a reason to chase you,
exactly.
essentially,
They're like, "Oh,
you
you're
know?
trying to be prey? Let's do it."
Right.
Yeah.
Just practical advice.
Mhm. So, just maybe stay out of the woods at night altogether.
It seems like a good
Done a
plan.
lot of hiking in my day in the daytime. It's great. I've done a couple of sunrise hikes, and it would happen to be a day that there was, like, bear sightings, and we were so freaked
Oh,
out.
no.
Don't do it. It's not
Yeah,
worth it.
I have also done a good bit of traveling out in West and in that area and seen a lot of bears and never had an issue, thankfully,
Yeah.
but yeah, it's very
I'm not
scary.
messing with bears, guys.
Mhm. Yeah. Don't
Okay.
do it.
Now There's also a lot of belief in spirits. Appalachians are kind of obsessed with the dead, and I think that comes from, like, some of the pagan.
Yeah, yeah, I could definitely see that. I feel like, I mean, I think sort of in the 1920s, everybody was really obsessed with the dead. It's
Mhm.
just sort of a spiritual or like religious thing to
Yeah.
be obsessed with. So,
Yeah. So, like I said earlier, these restless spirits or ghosts can be called boogies or haints. So, I'm going to refer to them as haints because I just think that's such a fun word and it
that's
reminds
more
me of
fun.
haunts. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, you really want to do everything you can to protect yourself from these spirits. So, one of my favorite ones is if you've ever been around some of these older communities where the houses haven't necessarily been updated or anything in a while, you'll find that porches, their ceilings are often colored blue. So if
Hmm,
you painted your porch ceiling blue or your door blue, that would ward off haints because it mimics water or sky and kind of makes them not realize that there's a house there. It like tricks them.
interesting. Okay. Good to know.
And there were some other ones that were like it tricks them, like don't put a specific kind of broom over your door because the fibers, like, distract them or something, and I'm like, "You guys think that these haints are dumb."
Yeah, yeah. There's I think it's vampires maybe. There's one of, like, the things to keep you safe, or maybe it's not. Maybe it
Mm.
was, like, a Halloweeny thing and it's spirits, but is to, like, put a lot of knickknacks outside because they get distracted counting them, and then they,
Mhm.
like, forget that they
So fun. No, it
belong to you,
probably
like
is. Yeah.
like we talked about in the wedding episode too, like, distracting the evil spirits. Like, apparently the evil spirits have ADHD.
Yes, like, that's
They
exactly
can't
what I was
focus
about to
on
say,
one thing for too long. So,
and we love it.
put some fidget spinners out there, you'll be fine.
Yeah. So wind chimes and bells also keep them away. I wonder
Okay.
if they start
Yeah.
dancing.
Maybe. That be
Yeah, whenever you're drinking spirits, pour one out, pour one on the ground to appease the spirit.
interesting. So that's where that came from. Okay,
Yeah,
alright.
I guess.
Hmm.
Um, and if you harvest apples from a tree, you wanna leave at least one to keep the devil away.
Aw, that little
So,
devil.
throw back to Adam and Eve, I guess.
That's true. I didn't even put 2 and 2 together, but that
Yeah.
makes a lot of sense now.
They also have a lot of, like, sayings and superstitions around predicting weather, and some of these are my
Mm,
favorite because, like, this first one is absolutely true, like, scientifically speaking, but
yeah.
if the leaves are turned up on a tree, with their backside showing rain is coming. So next time
Mm,
you have a storm coming, go outside and look at any kind of deciduous tree, so any tree with
okay.
leaves, and their leaves will often flip upward. But this is actually because, and it's actually true because the stomata, which is what absorbs water, is on the bottom of leaves. So they're kind of like flipping up in
Well,
preparation to kind
interesting.
of like receive that moisture.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll
So I
have to
love
look
that
next
one.
time.
And it's
I
like
think I
it's so
always
accurate. If you think now that you
I
think
th
about it, you'll never not see it.
yeah, I'll always see it. I think I always just assumed it was, like, wind that was
Mhm.
blowing them, you know what I
Yeah.
mean?
But for them to
Didn't
stay
realize it.
upward like that, yeah, it's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's interesting.
A ring around the moon means snow or rain is coming. I feel like this one is sometimes true as well, especially snow or ice. Like, I always feel like there's, like,
Yeah,
kind of this, and I think maybe it's just because like, the water is, like, hardened, whereas, like, a cloud is
maybe,
just a
yeah.
cloud, you know?
Right, right.
I don't know. Ask your meteorologist.
Cast a light or something.
Yeah. Another one is if you find a woolly worm and it's black, it means you're going to have a harsher winter. If it's brown, it means a milder winter. So I don't know if you know those like super fuzzy
Yeah, aren't they always black and brown?
caterpillars.
I thought
Yeah,
they
but
were
I
both
guess it depends
colors.
on like the ratio.
If it's, like, more black or more
Yeah.
brown.
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha.
After the first frost, if you cut open a persimmon seed, the shape inside will tell you what your winter will be like. So if you find something that's kind of the shape of a spoon, it means you'll get a lot of snow. If you find one that's more like a knife, there'll be just kind of icy cold winds. And if you have a fork, it'll be a more mild winter.
Hmm,
That one's
interesting.
fun. Also, never
That
eat
is
a
fun.
persimmon before it's ripe.
I've never
FYI,
tried,
guys.
but
It's
yeah.
the worst thing that's ever happened to me. I got tricked into it one time when I was like 11 and it
No.
it dries your mouth out and you think that you'll never be able to speak or create saliva
That's
again.
so funny.
Don't
Lots of
do it.
tannins in there.
Yeah, yeah.
Very dry.
A sun shower is often referred to the devil beating his wife, which I hate.
Wait, okay, so a sun shower, like, it's raining, but it's still sunny?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, at first I was like, I thought you meant sun shower, just like a lot of sunlight.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what?
It's
Either
sunny.
way, wild,
Yeah,
wild.
it's a wild one.
Can't even imagine where that would come from. But all right.
Yeah. um, if a bad storm is coming your way, put a two-edged axe in a stump and the storm will go around you. I guess because like the way that the axe is shaped. I don't know.
Right. Yeah.
And
It diverts the wind.
yeah. And Forrest told me this one just before the episode. If you kill a black snake and put it in a tree, it's supposed to bring rain. But I've
Poor
also
snake.
read that killing any snake is bad. So I don't know.
Yeah, just don't kill snakes.
Yeah.
They're good.
Seeing a cardinal represents either a visit from like a loved one who's passed on or good luck. I feel
Yeah.
like that one's really common that people know.
Yeah. I've heard that.
Some other luck ones, you always want to leave the house through the same door that you entered, or it's bad luck. Never bring an old broom into a new house, or you'll bring any bad energy that was in the old house over to the new one. Don't wash clothes or do any cleaning on New Year's Day, or you'll wash away any good luck. Similarly, obviously, eating black-eyed peas, ham cheeks, collard greens is good luck for the new year.
Okay.
Don't let somebody sweep under your feet or you'll never get married.
What if you're sweeping? What if someone's sweeping under your feet and you're already married? Then what
I don't
happens?
know. Divorce. No, I'm
Just
just kidding.
curious.
I don't know.
Probably if you're
Yeah, I
sitting
feel
there
like
and
I
your
vacuum
partner's
under
cleaning
force
around
feed all
you.
the time. So, or maybe
That's
like if
obviously
you
what it
did get
means.
divorced, you won't be remarried. I don't know.
Okay, all right.
A horseshoe over the door protects you from bad luck, which I feel like we commonly see.
Yeah. For
If a
sure.
bird poops on you, it's good luck.
I've heard that too, and that seems
Mhm.
unfounded.
Yeah. I like being out on like the boat a lot. Like as a kid, our friends would like get bird poop on and we're like, it's fine. It's good luck.
That's funny.
Yeah. And then, throwing a pinch of salt over your left shoulder if you've spilled it. Doing it over the right
Yep.
doesn't do anything. What's the rest of that saying from Practical Magic? Rosemary at your
Oh,
door to protect you
yeah,
from
yeah,
bad
yeah.
spirits, that kind of
I
stuff.
don't remember the whole quote, but
Yeah.
that's a good one.
So
I'll
yeah,
try to
some of
post
those like
that.
I feel like are in pop culture now.
Oh, for sure, yeah.
I think, I wasn't able to like say this superstition came from this person in this area. So I think, take all of these being Appalachian owned with a grain of salt. I think a lot of them are because like they're just so outlandish. They would not come from anywhere else or just feel like so truly like Southern Appalachia. But yeah, that's all I got. So remember all of those rules for life. There's many more if you ever choose to look
Vital.
them up.
Vital information.
But yeah, legends are vibrant people and have all kinds of interesting stories and ideas that I love.
Oh, fun. I love it. This is one of my favorites, I think. I really like everything
Yeah, this
we
was a
covered
fun
today.
one.
Yeah, this was a fun one. Well, thank you guys for joining us. Please remember to rate and review the show if you haven't already on whatever platform you're listening on. It really helps us out and we appreciate it. If you have something you want to hear more about, please leave us a comment on your topic of choice or any thoughts that you have about the show. We also want to hear those. And if you want to see maybe some photos of some poisonous flowers or Nessie, come visit us on Instagram and you can take a look at some photos related to what we talked about today or some other things. There's a lot on there. So
Yeah.
join us there.
Come learn.
Yeah. And we will talk to you next time.
Cheers.
Bye.